So I think I'm gonna just leave it there and move on. Not going to bother spending too much time on the selling of items. So I could get this, and that's a pretty clear upgrade, so I am going to get it, and it's not a lot of money. A girl raisin, yeah, that's really good English there. I speak good Englishes. Yes, I do. Yeah, this is a girl version of Razor Sword, and it costs twice as much, but I'm not going to complain because it's the only thing in stock that I can actually make use of right now. So I'm doing one-shot kills here, which is really nice, and it's starting to look up. Things are looking up for me, and I'm very pleased by that. Ah, handy wand. I can sell that for a handy amount. Oh, that is a terrible joke. That was a pause of silence for terrible joke. Moment of silence. Man, I'm really good with the words today, aren't I? Yes, the Englishes are very strong with me. I'm not gonna pick up any of the iron ingots, or not really many ingots at all, because most of them just aren't worth picking up. They waste time and they really don't have a lot of value. Can't really sell them for much. It's really just a waste. Unless you're crafting, then iron's amazing and steel is amazing, but otherwise, best to ignore it completely. See, that is a resource for iron. If I was a crafter, I would be a very happy man right now, but you can't always be guaranteed to get this stuff. So that is indeed a short floor. Looks like I've explored everything here. I don't see anything else unless these pads lead me elsewhere. I think I'll test that out right now and try one of those pads out. Well, turns out I did find a bit more. Looks like I wasn't looking close enough. So, wasn't really much, but let's see. These pads, I don't know, they don't look that special to me. Looks like they all lead to the places I've been to. So, time to move on to the second floor, where I may die horribly. Okay, new level. Now, it's really important that I pick something useful. This could be useful. Or this could. There's lots of options. However, if I want to realistically survive any huge onslaughts, I should probably suit up and get that skill. So suit up is a pretty cool skill. It's essentially just a buff that you keep buffing on yourself, and that's what buffs do. Yes, an excellent description. You can actually read that if you really care to, but it's not really worth your time. Pretty much all you need to know is that suit up is going to make me stronger. Gives me that, see, health regeneration and other stuff. I'm not opening that door. I am not going to go in there. I'm no fool. Well, not anymore. So I'm not going to go inside there and kill myself. Essentially, to me, that door is like, hey, do you want to kill yourself? And I'm like, no. No, I don't. Aged steak. What a terrible item. You would pretty much have no reason to pick this up at all. Not even to cube it. By cube it, I mean using the horrific, whatever, loot fist cube thing. Not even worth putting in there. It's just a waste of time. Time that can be better spent going through the dungeon. So this is a low chance to disarm that acid bolt trap, which are horrendous traps. Easily can kill you, and I need to watch out for those. So I'm not going to partake in that, and I'm not even going to take a chance of disarming something with such a low percentage for success. So far, I'm not taking a tremendous amount of damage from these enemies, which is a really good sign. I am not doing as much damage because obviously the enemies get tougher on each floor. And wow, that's a lot of items. Mostly crap. This is pretty good, interdimensional axe, but it's not better than what I have. Not really. Not when you consider the sword specialization. The boost I get from the sword skill is pretty much puts me on top with the weapons I have currently, so I'm not going to even bother using it. Did not mean to flip that switch, but doesn't really matter, because I can still do it again. Okay, another drink. at least I stole an item that's of high value. You can sell this for a lot. So, this gargle blaster thing that I got. Blue thing. Don't even want to know what it is. Could be horrible. This is really nice because this bow gives me a passive to my melee power skill, which is really nice early on. So that's actually going to be useful to me, even if I never fire a single shot from my crossbow there. So that it really went well. Not sure why this exists, other than to maybe fool first-time players, but if you go on this, you just get enemies. I guess maybe if you want the experience, you can kill them. I guess in this case I want the experience, so I'll deliberately fall into the trap. These enemies are always fodder anyway, and are really easy to take out, at least from my experience. You never get anything like a terrible boss or something like that. It's usually something that can be easily handled by just about anything. So I took quite a bit of damage there, unfortunately, by that toxic gas, so hopefully I can regen that quickly here. Looks like that's going well, so no problems there. Not a lot of tough enemies on this floor. This is really quite easy. I usually get worse luck, but so far it's going in my favor, at least in the grand scheme of things. I can't really say I've had anything like a close call, other than that time I died earlier, so I guess that goes far beyond a close call. But for this particular character, this particular run, I am feeling decent about this. This is also pretty nice, but way too much money for what it's asking. And this hat is not going to be helpful to me due to the wand crafting skill, which I'm not a wand crafter, obviously, so serves no purpose. This is a pretty sweet weapon, awful lot of money, and the cyber cone is absolutely worth the money though, but I can't afford it right now. And I don't think I'm going to be able to. Let's find out right now after I sell a few things. So, turns out that I'm about 1,000 short, unfortunately, but this cyber cone would be an amazing upgrade if I can get it soon. It can last you for quite a while. Oh no. This is a mini-boss, or however you want to phrase it. Could just be a boss, considering there's only one actual boss in this game that I'm aware of, which is Dredmor. Took quite a lot of damage there, but luckily due to my rather high damage for this floor, I was able to stomp him very thoroughly. And this level up will certainly help matters. So I'm going to get Walk It Off. That's pretty much a no-brainer, especially for early game survival. Walk It Off is essentially just a thing that can randomly trigger that will regen. And nice! I got a Loot Fist cube like I was hoping. Sometimes it takes many floors before I can even get the opportunity to use them. Probably shouldn't have just Loot Fist that cube. Or derp, not cube. Cheese is what I meant to say. Excuse me. So, essentially I'm just dumping a whole bunch of useless items, which of course I have no need for, which is essentially what useless means. And mostly held on to these bows for that specific reason, or not bows, these arrows. Man, me with the words today. Really got to put a clamp on that and really get that settled with my words. The Englishes need to get better at them. So, this is pretty good, at least for now. The Cyber Cone is superior, but I'm not going to argue with a free item that's a pure upgrade from what I have. No idea where that white went. Whites now make a noise, which I'm... Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because when you pick up that item, the guards start running. Yeah, that's a certain thing that can trigger in this game. Not going to get into specifics, but it's essentially a room that can randomly generate, like the one I was just in. Pick up the item. Dudes come. That's really, in layman's terms, how that occurs. So, taking quite a lot of damage here, but thanks to Walk It Off, which is a really good call on my part, I'm able to survive this quite reasonably well. The regen is helping significantly. I haven't even had to use food yet, which is really great, because all that food is going to be extremely valuable on the later floors. And it also gets, from my experience, more scarce. The further you get in the game, the less food you tend to come by. But again, that could just be the random generation talking and me just, you know, going based off my own personal experiences and not any fact. So far, I'm feeling pretty good about finishing this floor with no deaths, because really, I'm not... Other than that one dude that was kind of tough, which you gotta watch out for those particularly tough mini-bosses or whatever, there really isn't much that can really substantially hurt me. Traps and those mini-bosses about the only thing I have to worry about right now, and as long as I can just stay in it and you know, not have those horrible things happen to me, then it looks like I am a shoo-in for the 3rd floor. And it looks like, based off what short floors are like, I'm probably almost done this floor, but it is going to take a bit more time to finish it, because it is rather spaced out in its layout, or so it seems. Sometimes it's really crammed in, but as you can see on the map there, it's fairly open, lots of corridors, so it's going to take me quite a while to walk through it all. A decent amount of backtracking is involved, but perhaps I can use the teleportation pads, the satanic displacement glyphs, and I need to get out of that cloud, because that could kill me. That would be terrible if I died here. There's too much potential right now. Really don't want to die. These mummies can do a surprising amount of damage, especially if you don't have any elemental resistances. Ooh, dear God. How did that even happen? I don't recall the mummies being able to make that cloud, but I may just be mistaken. But wow, that was a ton of damage. Came out of nowhere. I think what ended up happening was that crit me more than once, and that's how I lost so much of my health in a short amount of time. Yeah, like I said, you gotta watch out. You definitely don't want to get too overconfident in roguelikes, in which this game, of course, is a roguelike. So, you really have to watch out. So, I just went past this and barely didn't notice it here. It kind of was hidden in the door. But it's not an upgrade. I can hold on to it for selling purposes, however. Anything to help the fund towards the cyber cone, which I desperately need. In case you didn't notice, the reason the cyber cone is so good is because it does a high amount of damage and provides elemental resistance to things which are fairly... They do quite a lot of damage. Things that hit you with electricity typically hit you extremely hard. So having some resistances for the electricity stuff is really helpful. So this is a clear upgrade, so I'm going to use the Iron Cuirass instead of the breastplate. Pretty unusual seeing, what is it? An Aethernaut, Astronaut, Undead Astronaut thing. Usually you don't see those until the 3rd floor, but on occasion, things have been known to happen. So I managed to get lucky here, and disarm these without a terrible amount of damage. I didn't disarm those two, but I managed to make it through without getting killed, which I think is an accomplishment. Yeah, it's a new element in the expansion. You trigger one trap and it triggers several around you. Pretty cruel. Really gotta watch out for that stuff. So, let me see. No, I don't think I'm gonna have enough for the fund towards my cyber cone. Not just yet. So I'm gonna wait a bit before I head back to the shop. I think I'm just wasting my time, because I want to make sure that I have over 4,000. Otherwise, it's just gonna be a waste. Toxic blobbies can do quite a lot of damage if you're not careful. They do a lot of toxic damage, obviously, which is what my rusted sword there... I'm not using it, but it does toxic damage. And yeah, you really gotta watch out for toxic damage. It can do quite a lot to you. And another mini-boss. This is a particularly hard one, and it's not helping I have an Electro Blobby in white to deal with. This could get ugly. Alright, I'm gonna try some grilled steak out for some regen. I'm not particularly a big fan of steak, Steak is a rather inconsistent thing for me, but on occasion, it does taste really good. So I'm not, to say, adverse to it, but normally it doesn't turn out the way I like. So I typically avoid it just based on that. So another level up, and I think if I want to be smart about this, I'm going to get Ancestral Body Paint, because it also leads up to Berserker Rage, which is going to be extremely helpful for the remainder of this character's run, however long it goes. I have no idea what that does, by the way. I think maybe it restores mana, but I haven't been able to figure it out. It's probably because I rarely play any wizards, so I may give that a shot in these videos if my luck really goes horrible on melee, but I'm not very experienced with wizards. I've mostly spent my time playing straight-up warrior-type characters. That's really what I'm most experienced in. But I should play wizards more, because they do have some really cool stuff, and they can clear out enemies at a really impressive rate, and just plain kill enemies much faster than what warriors are capable of, unless the warriors get extremely lucky with their loot, which so far is what's been happening on this particular run. So I'm gonna just get rid of this white here. That would be a great idea. It looks like I'm gonna have to do some big backtracking here. Actually not. I'm gonna go to the shop first, and then I'm gonna make my long way over to an area I haven't been to, which is gonna take me a minute or two, but I'm gonna start selling some stuff now. So I managed to reach my goal quite nicely with some money left over. So finally have my cyber cone, and I'm very pleased right now. Very happy with the progress that's being made. That is really gonna show a big difference on this floor for my damage, and any possible volt damage that I may receive, which I don't think there's any on the second or first floor. I think it starts in the third floor and then essentially continues from there. Oh boy. Not the thing I wanted to see, but I'm definitely handling it. Yeah, I got out of that pretty lucky. If I had missed, or if he had blocked a couple times, I think I would have been dead. Because those guys don't mess around. They do a significant amount of damage. Definitely not to be trifled with, those unfriendly AIs, especially when they are a mini-boss. So, we have a monster zoo. And monster zoos have a lot of monsters in them. And it's fairly random how many monsters it will have. I think because this is a short floor, it is pretty much just going to be a small amount of monsters. There's like, what, 40 in here? And I've killed, like, already 6 of them. But I should not be overconfident because I am taking a lot of damage, because I'm not finding a good spot to handle these guys. I think I'm gonna move, because I'm getting hit a lot. I'm gonna find a good choke point, and see how that works for me. I think this will be better. At least it'll take more time for enemies to get around me. They can take the other path, but it will definitely slow them down, which is what I need right now. So I'm going to heal up with this lively regeneration potion, just to be on the safe side, because I don't want to ruin a good run here. And there could be a really tough monster in the monster zoo. This is fairly common where they'll have a mini-boss or 2, or even 3. And that can be a really good way to get yourself killed. Now that's new. I've never seen that before. Poorly cloned heroin. Definitely a new thing. And it's pretty interesting to see that. That is definitely a pretty cool enemy to see. Clones are a nice idea, I support that. I'm not sure... Well, that's a weird sound it made. I'm not really sure if there's anything special about them, but I guess we'll find out, right? Some of these enemies have special abilities. Oh boy, big toxic cloud. Hopefully the mummies don't get antsy and start putting that on me, because then I'd have to move to another point, and that would be highly inconvenient. That would just plain suck. And these enemies like to insult you a lot, in case you haven't noticed. The mod adds, I think, a few new insults and remarks that the enemies will make. And a gold ring. Where on earth did that come from? Do enemies have a chance to drop loot now? Because that's what it looks like happened, unless I just missed this. But I'm pretty sure that this thing just showed up, this gold ring. I'm gonna grab that because wow, what an upgrade. Definitely could use the extra health. I should move out of that cloud, that's a great idea. Really, really bad to stay in that cloud. So, I have a white. I was hoping for more, because then I would die horribly. Whites are awful, awful enemies when you get a lot of them. Especially when you're a melee character. Now this is a really good shield. Not bad at all. It helps that it's enchanted, it's or whatever you want to call it. It's studded with thorns and drizzled with blood. Gives it extra stats. Really nice. If I was a shield wearer, that would be fantastic. But I may be able to sell it for decent profits, so... gonna cross my fingers on that one. Should be nearing the end of this floor. Like I said, it's taking longer because this is a really corridory floor. They really want to spread this one out. I'm not even going to try my luck with that unfriendly AI. There's something fishy about it. It could be glitched. I don't know, it seemed really odd to me that I was doing nothing to it. That just struck me as glitchy, so I'm not gonna risk it. Gonna just leave him alone. So there's a couple areas I think I see here that I have not been to yet, so I'm gonna head over to them now.